Hello guys and welcome back to EFD, where today we're looking at 10 teams that threw away the title. Ooh. 10. Arsenal 2008. 2008 seemed to be the last time Arsenal were actually on the verge of winning the title. After the disbandment of the Invincibles in 2004, the Gunners had a fresh approach, bleeding youngsters into the squad with Cesc Fabregas the shining light. Losing just once before February, Arsenal were 5 points clear of the pack and headed into what was supposed to be a straightforward fixture against Birmingham at St Andrews. But after 3 minutes, the match was anything but normal. This was the fixture where Eduardo broke his leg following an absolute horror tackle from Martin Taylor. But Arsenal were actually 2-1 up before Clichy had a brain fart and conceded a last-minute penalty. Gallas was crying in the middle of the pitch whilst McFadden slammed home the equaliser, and Arsenal failed to win their next 3 games and finished 3rd at the end of the season. 9. Bayer Leverkusen 2002. 2001-2002 was the season where Bayer Leverkusen were eventually dubbed Bayer Neverkusen. Somehow everything bad that could have happened shook the side as they finished trophyless in a season where they reached 2 finals and were also in the running for the Bundesliga. This was a squad containing the likes of Ballack, Berbatov, Ziriberto and Lucio, but they're actually top of the league by 5 points with 3 games to go, but managed to surrender that lead to Borussia Dortmund. And it didn't get any better, as they also lost the DFB Pokal final to Schalke on the 11th of May. But the biggest prize was yet to come, a Champions League final against Real Madrid just 4 days later. Surely they couldn't lose that, right? Well, they did. Zidane banged in one of the greatest goals in Champions League final history and capped off possibly the worst ever season for any club. Ever. We're talking ever here. Germany went on to lose the World Cup final too. It was a bad time to be Michael Ballack. 8. Manchester United 2012. 2012 provided one of the most memorable moments in Premier League history, with Martin Tyler screaming "Aguero!" causing every non-United fan to celebrate as City won their first Premier League title and Fergie's men were full of despair at lowly Sunderland. The pendulum at the top kept swinging, with City and United exchanging places throughout the season. Riveting stuff. But in April, the title seemed to be done and dusted, as United had the chance to go 11 points clear of City at relegation fighters Wigan. Sean Maloney scored the winner for Wigan, and United buckled under the pressure, dropping points against Everton and losing against City, with the title being decided on the last day of the season. United did their job and beat Sunderland, but late strikes from Dzeko and Aguero won it for City. We were all devastated for Alex Ferguson. 7. Real Madrid 2004. By 2004, Florentino Perez's Galactico policy was in full swing, ditching the average Makelele, his words not mine, for David Beckham, adding to the already glamorous side stocked with the likes of Ronaldo, Zidane, Figo and Raul. And it looked to be paying off, as Los Blancos were 8 points clear at the top by the end of February. But it all came crashing down at the Bernabeu. First, they lost in the Cup to Real Zaragoza before going out on a away goal in the Champions League quarter-finals to Monaco. Carlos Queiroz' outfit went to complete shit. Madrid lost the next Clásico to Barcelona at the Bernabeu and went on to lose the next 4 games. Somehow Los Blancos ended the season in 4th, 7 points behind title winners Valencia, 2 behind Barcelona and 1 point behind Deportivo La Coruña. Now. 6. Bayern 2012. Jupp Heynckes will be forever remembered as a Bayern icon after his treble-winning side in that historic final season. But his third stint for the club didn't exactly go according to plan, with his side going trophyless in the 2011-2012 campaign. Adding the likes of Manny Neuer and Jerome Boateng to an already star-studded squad, Bayern started off the season well and were top of the table from the 4th game to the 19th in the season, barring 1 week. Dortmund took charge shortly after though, and BVB's 1-0 win in April was the deciding fixture as Bayern finished runners-up. In a similar vein to Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern also reached both the Pokal final and the Champions League final, and like their German counterparts, they also lost both. This allowed Dortmund to win the double, and they also lost the Champions League to Chelsea on penalties. Thankfully for Bayern fans, Jupp Heynckes would make it all up to them the next season. 5. Netherlands 1974. Cruyff, Neeskens and Ruud Krol all under the management of the great Rinus Michels. How the f*** did this Netherlands side not win an international trophy? Over 40 years later, we're still not quite sure how, but the 1974 World Cup was their best chance when they crumbled in the final against West Germany. Total football was in full flow as the Dutch cruised their way through the second round of the group stage, smashing Argentina 4-0, East Germany 2-0, and a Brazil side that contained Jairzinho and Rivellino 2-0. Ooh, you fighter. Not to mention Cruyff's signature skill was showcased to the world for the first time against Sweden. Smashed it. West Germany's only loss in the competition was against their eastern rivals, whereas the Netherlands remained unbeaten throughout and must have thought the glory was all theirs after Nieskin's penalty in the second minute of the final. The Germans hadn't even touched the ball before the decision, and Holland were toying with the opposition for the next 20 minutes before Breitner scored a shock penalty. Gerd Müller sealed the deal for West Germany, and though they won the newly designed World Cup trophy, the Netherlands were the people's champion. 4. Newcastle 1996. Old-timers will remember that famous image of Kevin Keegan collapsing over the advertising hoardings as they lost 3-2 against Liverpool at Anfield in 1996. If you haven't seen it, check it out, it's hilarious. Keegan had good reason to be deflated too, as the Toon failed to go level on points with United following the result. But going back as far as January, Newcastle were as much as 12 points clear of Manchester United, but the signing of Faustino Asprilla disrupted the Geordie attack, with Beardsley shifted out wide and an on-fire Les Ferdinand only managing a paltry 4 goals in the next 13 games. Tinkering with the side ended up costing Newcastle the title. For the most part though, there are some great memories. Keegan's rant about Fergie, an unknown 21-year-old substitute from Newcastle, scoring for Blackburn in a 2-1 win against them, and of course, the best match in Premier League history against Liverpool. 3. Hungary 1954. The Golden Team were more than just a football team for that generation of Hungarians. They represented a sense of national pride in an era where Soviet communism reigned supreme. And in 1954, they established themselves as one of the greatest teams ever put together. One of the inspirations for the Netherlands' total football philosophy, the mighty Magyars had legends of the game such as Hidekuti, Puskás and Kokšič in the side, with Gustav Šebs at the helm. And all this talent came together in the 1954 World Cup, where Hungary produced some stunning results, including 9-0 against South Korea and 8-3 against eventual finalists West Germany. In the quarters, they faced Brazil in the Battle of Bern, winning 4-2, which was overshadowed though by 3 red cards, 42 fouls, and fighting between both sides in the dressing room. Ugh. And after beating Uruguay 4-2 in extra time, Hungary faced West Germany in the final, the side they smashed in the group stages. After going 2-0 up after 8 minutes, it seemed destined that Hungary would achieve international fame and glory. But never count out the Germans, as they managed to equalise before 20 minutes had passed, and Helmut Rahn won the game for them in the 84th minute. This ended Hungary's unbeaten run of 31 games. 2. AC Milan 2005. Before we get to number 1 involving the Reds in a slightly more negative manner, and no, it isn't Stevie G slipping over, it's time to reminisce about one of the greatest comebacks in football history, the Miracle of Istanbul. The domestic season was a bit of a shambles for Liverpool as they finished 5th behind local rivals Everton and finished runners-up in the League Cup and crashed out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round to Burnley. Was that Jimmy Traore with his back heel? What a state he was. But in Europe, Rafa was working his magic as he surprised everyone by taking them to the Champions League final. A lineup containing Traore and Milan Baros looked like a mismatch compared to AC Milan's star-studded side, who had the likes of Kaká, Seedorf, Maldini, Pirlo and Shevchenko in the side, and they asserted their dominance by going 3-0 up before half-time. Goals from Gerrard, Smicer and the handsome devil that is Xabi Alonso drew the sides level after just an hour, but the sides were still deadlocked after 120 minutes. Smicer scored Liverpool's 4th pen, and it was up to King Sheva to keep Milan in the game. Dudek shimmied around the goal and saved the pen with an outstretched leg and cemented Liverpool's place as the Kings of Europe, to Milan's fans' dismay to this day. Rhyming. 1. Liverpool 1989. Forget Aguero's title-winning goal in 2012. Arsenal's visit to Anfield in 1989 was the most dramatic ending to a season in English football history. Dalglish's Liverpool side were imperious, winning 6 titles in the 10 previous seasons, as well as winning the European Cup as recently as 1984. Arsenal, in second, travelled to Liverpool, who were 3 points ahead in the final match of the season. There was no other way Arsenal could win the title other than by beating the Scousers by 2 clear goals. At the time, Liverpool hadn't let this happen at Anfield for 3 years, and Arsenal also hadn't won Anfield in 15 games, so it didn't look likely. And Ian Rush and John Aldridge had never lost a game when playing together, and the Mirror beforehand had the headline, "You haven't got a prayer, Arsenal." Alan Smith gave the Gunners an unlikely lead after 52 minutes before Mickey Thomas hit the ball straight at Grobler on the 74th, and all hope seemed to have died. When the clock hit 90, Liverpool's Steve McMahon was seen gesturing to his teammates that there was 1 minute left, and Barnes went on a mazy dribble to goal instead of wasting time at the corner flag. What an Egypt. And all of a sudden, Arsenal were on the break. Lee Dixon punted the ball up to Alan Smith, who knocked it down to Mickey Thomas, who ran through on goal, and it's up for grabs now, was bellowed out by commentator Brian Moore. Immortal words. Thomas slotted it away, and George Graham's men provided the most dramatic Premier League win of all time, whilst the Reds crumpled on the pitch. Oh. So that was 10 teams who threw away a title, guys. Have we missed anyone out? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this, go and watch this week's Stat Wars. And as ever, don't forget to like and subscribe. Pow, 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 pow.